This episode of the RMR Training Podcast is brought to you by Roxopt. Roxopt is the #1 analytics tool for your HYROX racing and training. I've used it the past year, and it has, without a doubt, made me a better, smarter athlete. Getting to see everything in one spot and not having to make guesses about where you are strong and where you are weak, what you need to work on, it makes a world of difference. It's helped me understand what I need to do in training and how to approach race day. You can get your free custom report with the link down in the show notes. Thank you to Roxopt. All right. Hello. Welcome to the RMR Training Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan, joined by the Meg Jacoby, fresh off a half PR.
Did you just call me Megan? Like, who even am I?
Oh,
who is that?
When do you always introduce yourself as Meg, or do you go Meg?
Always.
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
No, usually it's only when someone's being like real serious talking to me, like Benny, Megan. And I'm like, whoa, am I in trouble? What I did do?
Mom or dad?
Or my dad?
Yeah.
No, they call my parents have always called me Meg or MJ. MJ was like always in sports, also always like MJ, because also there were like a million 90s, too many Megans. Too many Megans. I had a lot of Megs on my teams, growing up. Yeah. So we had to have differentiators.
I think I told you I was going to be, that was my female name. If I can,
if you were,
be Megan.
It's destiny. That's why we're friends.
That's it. Just an Irish person thing. It's a solid Irish name. So I never know. Sometimes, people get older and they're like, they were Mike, and now they're like, you know what? As an adult, I'm Michael. I didn't know if you were gonna go that route.
No.
And to your daughter. Nope. Sticking Meg. Meg Jacoby's here, fresh off a half PR. How are you feeling?
Good. Pretty good. You know what I noticed, which was a really interesting observation, was I obviously didn't really train specifically for it. I do some longer work, but obviously not like this wasn't a half block or something like I've done in the past. I was way less sore and damaged from the half than I was my HYROX race in Stuttgart. Way less. Like Monday, I was like, wow, I feel really good. Like not sore at all. Like definitely like run down, but definitely not the same feeling after a HYROX race. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Did you think you were going to be more sore?
Yeah, just because like I also haven't done like a ton of specificity for that distance, right? So like, it's a long race, I mean, and back in the day, like we'd be doing 15 milers all the time. And, I was running a little bit higher mileage too back then. So like you were just more used to that and the duration of it. So yeah, and I could feel it like in the race, I got to about 17, 18 K. And that's when I was like, all right, my muscles are a little like, I'm not quite conditioned for this, if this was like a real true goal that I had and it took a long time. So I was really happy that I felt super in control and super good until about that point. But I remember like 18 to 21 was like a grind. Like I was grinding at that point.
Is that how many kilometers is 13.1?
It's 21.
It is 21. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the last like 4K was 4K was like, okay, I'm digging a little bit deep here. You know what I mean? So
that seems right for that type of event though. Right. And this is something that I do want to dive into today, is kind of talking about how like expectations for something like a half marathon or even a marathon. Like I think a lot of times I'm fielding questions around like, hey, I want to get better at running. Should I sign up for a half? Should I sign up for a full? And I have some thoughts around it, and I'm interested to hear on what you think after kind of going through all of that. And you already kind of hit on it on a couple of the things, right? Like, hey, like it feels different, right? Like, so the grinding feeling at the end of it. And I've actually never raced a half. I've done like a bunch of 10 milers, which I really like. And I haven't done any races for distance since doing HYROX, right? So I don't really have a reference. I can kind of put it together, but I've never done either I've never done them at like in the same kind of like block or same type of like area. So I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about it. But I guess I want to just kind of pick up on something you had already talked about, like that grind feeling and the kind of how you were conditioned. So like, how would you compare that to the feeling of what it would be like in a HYROX? Did you feel like it was comparable, the kind of grind that you were in, or what did the half grind feel
No,
like?
I was definitely not working as hard as I had to have to work in HYROX,
Okay.
especially at the end. And this is also because the intensity is lower. I was not even in threshold. My average heart rate was not in threshold. It
When
was
did you hit
below
it?
my threshold.
Did you see where, did you get into it in that was it in that last
Yes,
like?
at well, I cut the whole race down.
Oh, nice.
The whole race. Yeah. This was like I just got to say I'm going to pat myself in the back right there for execution. Because that was my hope, but like I said, wasn't training specifically. So like, I knew what my paces needed to be. Obviously this comes from training and being super dialed in and training. I know what I'm capable of, but there's always a little bit of a gamble with stuff like this. And so I was cutting it down. So of course, like the last 5K, I was running faster. So then I'm getting into finally kind of touching into like the threshold. But in a HYROX, you're in high end of threshold the whole time. So this is way different, right? So like you're chilling, you're holding yourself back so much in a distance like that to be able to do that so you don't fall off and start going backwards. So like the first 5-10K, like I was chilling and I was having to tell myself like, this is exactly correct. Stay right here. Don't overdo it. Don't speed up. But like, I definitely felt like I could go faster, really early, especially. And I think that's the opposite in HYROX, where it's like we tend to positive split HYROX, even if you're having the best day ever. Like we all know your worst run is going to be the run after lunges. It's your last run. It's always slowest. I have not yet met a single person whose last run is faster than a different run, in a HYROX. Right. So it's the polar opposite experience, I think, in a HYROX, where like I was able to cut it down because I raced smart, but I also knew how to really strategically do that. But there's no other elements building up your lactate. There's no ebb and flow of lactate and gaining a little bit back here. Or we know like the farmer's carry, you can gain a little bit more. You can gain a little bit back, get a little more energy. It's not lactate inducing. It's like the row, same with the row. You're finally sitting down. Your legs can kind of clear it a little bit easier, but that's not how just a regular run is, right? So you have to be very careful with these long distance runs because you can bonk so easily if you overdo it a little too early. But in a HYROX, it's like the intensity is high right from the get-go. And so you have to be ready to hit that right off the bat. And you still need to pace it really smart. And I wouldn't say the pacing strategy should be different from something like a half marathon. You should be trying to chill and ease your way into it and not bite off more than you can chew at the beginning. But like you're going to be at threshold probably on the skier. So, first 5 minutes, you're already there. You know what I mean? And it took me till the last probably 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Maybe max 8 to 10 minutes. The last. So I was already 65 to 70 minutes in before we kind of got to that point. So this is the definite opposite experience. So HYROX is definitely way better, way harder burn and from the jump.
Right. And like you said, a couple things interesting where it's like, yes, there's nowhere. So I bet if you looked at two heart rate graphs and like of a HYROX that you ran recently and the half that you ran, and you're really dialed in to HYROX, so you probably don't have too many dips. But like you mentioned, like your heart rate probably goes down on the
You
road.
have a couple little ones.
It might go down on mine goes down on the sled push just because everything slows down. It spikes after, but like there are dips. But like in your half, I bet it was just like a linear,
it was so
super
even
gradual. Yeah, just like gradual in a linear way.
Yeah,
it's like okay,
exactly.
Mile 2 was like lower than mile 6.
Yeah,
and then but for that reason, there's nowhere to get it back during half, so you do have to be careful.
Yes,
where in
exactly.
a HYROX, it's like, okay, I'm going to chill at the burpee broad jumps because even if I hammer them, I don't do well. So I'm just going to like punch it until then, try to get it back there, for example, whatever. So there is a
Yeah.
little bit more of like push and pull, but for that reason, it's way harder right away. Like you can
Yeah.
push it right up front and then just like hope to hang on. So like, and also with this, so I feel like if, like you mentioned only being in threshold, so how long were you even at threshold? Like 15 minutes?
I don't even think it was that much.
Not even that long. Not even
Nope.
that long. I would imagine the athletes who are like the female athletes in the world who can run, what are they running now? They're running like 65 and under, right? They're running crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would imagine go ahead.
I said we met a couple pros here, and they were like on our track, and I'm not going to name drop them, but I never felt more amateur of a runner. I was like, guys, I did a 118, and they're like, cool, that's like my goal for like the first half of my marathon. And I was like, wow,
yeah, no,
cool.
like
I could
legitimately.
pace you.
They would like, yeah, that, yeah.
And then I'd have to drop,
For like like the athletes who are running, yeah, like that would be what, 336, right? So female athletes are running under 230 for sure.
Yep.
For sure. But in that instance, right, like I bet those athletes who can run, between like 67 and 63 or whatever they're running, they probably are holding threshold from that jump, the way that we can kind of do it for HYROX. They're just conditioned in that way.
Yeah.
Because
that's where the specificity comes in.
Yes. So they're running a lot and they're doing a lot more of like running big thresholdy pieces. So like if you were to be like, all right, I'm going all in on a half to run it to my best of my ability, what would that mean for your mileage? And how do you think that would like to get you to the point that you can hold like a threshold for 60, 70 minutes of just running?
Yeah. That's the thing. I think when you do these long races, I mean, there were some longer progression runs that I did where I was getting 15 miles very easily, very quick.
That's a lot.
And I'm already running 95K a week. So roughly about 60 miles a week. And when I was half training before I did HYROX, I was running about 70. And it's very easy to get there with this style of training. Because again, those workouts, like you're doing 4x2 mile, you're doing 3x5K. You know what I mean? Like, so the volume is just there. Like, yes, maybe the intensity, the pacing is a little bit slower than what I want to do at times in HYROX, but it's actually very similar, I think, or should be. And my HYROX race pace was very similar to this half pace that I was able to hold in the running. So you're still doing similar pacing, but the volume of it is what's different. I don't have volume. You have to do 13 miles of that, right? I don't in a HYROX. So we don't have to do so much, but we're balancing way more other things. And that's the hard part with this. It's not necessarily that the running in the style of workouts is so different. It's balancing all the other pieces that we have to be good at that they don't. Like, I don't look like those runners. You know what I mean? And the girls that came in behind me in the half, they are true endurance athletes. They were like, what sport do you play? Literally. They asked me that. And I was like, yeah, I do HYROX. And like, okay. And then everybody, it clicks. Oh, she's got to have some muscle mass because her sport is different. And that's the thing is, when I was doing pure half training, like before HYROX, I wasn't lifting. I wasn't, at least certainly the way I need to do strength now. I wasn't doing erg work, right? So there's so many other pieces. And I think while it can be beneficial for some people to have like goals to help motivate them to do more of the running, I don't think you can balance all of it at once that easily. And I would say like a half is a great choice, but like to try to do a full marathon block and do a HYROX at the same time, this is where like we're just not going to be able to hit all the pieces we need to hit to be able to do the HYROX while we're doing something so voluminous. And it's way slower. Like it's way slower running for a marathon than a HYROX. So it's definitely working the aerobic engine. So like for people who really have none of that, then maybe it could be good, but I think you're going to have a hard time then going to the gym and doing, your ski and your row work, or pushing and pulling your sleds and doing lunges. I think it's just going to become very, very difficult for your body to handle all of that.
It's like, yes, you'll get better at running for distance, but will that
Yes.
make you better at running for HYROX? I don't think it's a 1-to-1.
I don't either. And I think it can, again, it's like going to depend on the goal. I've had clients get invited to do crazy events that like they had to do. Like I had a girl get an invite to the Berlin Marathon that I was coaching, but she's just raced HYROX Chicago last week. So this is a very hard thing to do simultaneously, but she did better in her HYROX simply because she got fitter. Just pure fitness, just better aerobic fitness. And so her HYROX did positively benefit. But when she was trying to do some of the pieces at the same time during that marathon block, it was very hard, and it was very hard on the body. So it was like, okay, we got just aerobically fitter and we saw some improvements, but like there is going to be a risk reward, and like what are we willing to sacrifice for those types of things.
So for like something that you mentioned, these longer half pieces, right? Where it's like, yeah, like 4x2 mile or 2x5K, things like that. I don't know, but I feel like those are workouts that people would try to do for HYROX. And for me, it is that they are still kind of missing that volume piece, right? Like to execute a workout in that way while doing like 35 miles a week or something, it just seems like it would be too much. And then like the intensity the volume is too much. So the intensity has to kind of drop. And then we're just kind of like doing these half marathon kind of workouts, but not hitting like the intent of what the workout would be intensity wise. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
I
like,
do know what you mean. For the general person, I do know what you mean.
Right. For people who are just coming in and like, I want to get bet, I'm going to follow this half marathon program or whatever, but like also kind of do HYROX stuff. And they're kind of like leaning into like these half marathon workouts. And there probably is some benefit, right? Like there's definitely some benefit, but I don't know, like, I guess I'm not sure like where the expectation should be on something like that. When people are doing like these big volume, like thresholdy type workouts, when they don't have the base of running or even just like aerobic stuff at all to do it. And it's like, oh, I just did 8 by mile, 10 by mile or something like that. And it's like yes, that's like a impressive workout to have done, but like how did it go and how are you then feeling?
It's the recovery. That's exactly what I was just thinking when you were saying this, is like, it's the recovery side. Like there's very few people, right? Like I'm balancing all of this, but I don't work. Like I work, but like I don't go to an office, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
my other life is like around this, you know what I mean? This is my job. So it's like, again, it's the recoverability. If you're trying to do one or two of these big, huge running sessions a week, and you're trying to do like your little AMRAP Metcon with your ski and your row and your blah, 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 like it's going to be very challenging to maintain this for several months leading up to a goal race. And I just don't know. I don't know how reasonable it is. If that's,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
That's how I kind of feel about it as well. So it's like, I think that like the volume is where we're often drawn to. It's like, oh, okay, if I can do 2x5K, like I can then do 8x1K in a HYROX and it will be easier. And like maybe, but will you get better? Is always the kind of the question that I think kind of gets skipped over when people are looking at this type of option for like training for their HYROX, right? It's like, all right, I'm just going to do a ton of stuff because that's what a half marathon person would be doing. and like you mentioned before, it's not like the pace, yes, is the same almost for you, right?
Mhm.
But the way that those kilometers feel, it's like
Very different.
worlds apart,
Yo,
right?
I
So
was like, wow, this is so great. I
I'm
love
chilling.
this.
I'm
And
hanging
then in
out.
a HYROX, I'm like, keep going, the whole time I'm like pushing myself to keep this pace or whatever. It's a totally different psychological thing. And yeah, it's definitely very different. So
So when you were approaching this, were you looking at it because you've been locked in with a lot of different metrics, right? Like kind of exactly where your pace should be and how that's going to relate to your heart rate and what will be happening lactate wise. So when you were coming into this, were you looking at it from a pace perspective, or were you like,
yeah,
I'm going to sit at a heart rate
pace.
pace,
Hmm.
and then
And
you
then
just
my
kind of
heart, it was just lower than I thought it would be. So that was pretty cool. I was like, oh,
did you taper
sick.
much?
Just a few days. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and I'm just gonna be keeping it real. I've been seeing a lot of bad reels out there. Listen, if you guys are signing up for races and you don't taper, why are you racing? This is so stupid. Respectfully. Race day, any race you sign up for, 10 out of 10 effort. If we are not doing that, why are we lining up? I don't understand that. So for me, when people are like, the psychological side is important. And so, if it helps you mentally to not taper, then you shouldn't. That's just stupid. And you are just genuinely going to harm your performance. So while HYROX is my main focus, it was difficult to taper into it, but I basically cut just like one hard session that I would have had and had like 3 easy sessions and approached it very similar to how I would a HYROX race. And it worked super, super well, obviously. Yeah, I've been like seeing a lot about not tapering lately, and I think that is foolery,
Yeah.
tomfoolery. You're spending like $200 to sign up for this race, and then because you're a little bit crazy and can't sit still, you're gonna not taper for it. That
that's
you booked a flight and a hotel for 2 days. Get
that's
out of here. That's
that's the thing.
ridiculous.
It's like, yes, I understand like what that message is, right? It's like maybe you will perform worse if you are feeling like you're not doing what you want to do, or like you're like restless or whatever it is, and or you feel flat. But that is psychological. There's
And
physiological.
then you
It
need to
doesn't.
train your brain more. If these are
Right.
huge problems for you, then you need to train your brain more, not
That's
do more work the week of a race so you
because
stay
yeah,
mentally stable. Like,
that
go read a book, you know what I mean? Like, work on some mental
work
health
on this.
strategies. Because
I agree.
you're just like, yes, there's a 50-50 chance that even if you don't taper, you can still have a great performance. But there's also a massive chance that because you did too much right before a race, that it could go bad. And for me, like, I work so hard to get to a point to want to line up to race. I want to hit a home run. So I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that happens, because I didn't just train my ass off for the last 4 or 5 months for this for no reason. Right. Like, that's where I think people need to go with that. So yes, even with the half, I did do like a taper. I don't think you have to taper crazy, like 2 weeks. It's not a marathon. It's not an ultra distance event. Right. But yeah, like a week of monitoring what I'm doing beforehand, was what I did, and it worked. So
Yeah, it was like a B race, right? Like kind of like a B race taper
yeah, it's like
week of.
for this was like a check-in just to see where the running fitness has gotten to
Right.
in a more clear-cut way. Like, yes, of course we have workouts and blah blah blah, but in a HYROX, like, it's a little bit different. There's different things impacting. So yes, we kind of know courses are different. So it's like, it's not always exactly apples to apples comparing races and race times.
Mhm.
So it's just a little check, see what's up. And it actually got me really pumped because I was like, kind of missed this road racing thing.
Ugh.
Kind of missed this a little bit. But
You're
I would
back
love
in.
I would love a 10 miler too. That's where
10
I'm
miles
like,
where it's
I'm
at.
good. 10's great. I'm
10 miles
good.
where it's
It's like
at.
1 hour-ish,
Mhm.
like
It goes by kind of fast. You can kind of punch, you can kind
Yeah.
of punch it a little earlier. You can kind of be at threshold a little bit quicker. I mean, it's a little bit more painful that way, but it's still like shorter. So it's like
Yeah.
you get to 10K and you're like, all right, we're almost there. Yeah, for sure. And I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like in terms of like, yes, you could probably have a good performance if you're not tapering, but like based off of like what you like your current physical shape. But in terms of performing at your absolute peak, you're just not going to do it. And you're just never going to find out if you can't like pull it together and like just like chill out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Totally agree on that. Talk to me about nutrition. You've been locked in, dude. You've just been locked.
Yo, I can't be giving all the secrets away.
We're talking about nutrition. So you're punching some carbs?
Yep, lots of them.
Lots of them.
We went from, dare I say, raw dogging these, zero anything, zero intra, falling off at the back end. Every time I did this, I definitely was not good on fueling properly throughout racing.
This is when you were
back in the day. Yeah. And I mean, even when we first started HYROX, like I would forget to take my gel a million times. Like how many races I lined up with, I had a gel and I never took it. I forgot. And then like you can feel it.
I didn't even need that.
Yeah. But then
you probably could have.
There's a lot of signs. There's a lot of science that says we should definitely be doing that. So
I would finish races and just be like literally shaking because I was just like
cramping up. People are asking for pictures and I can't even stand still. I'm like doing that.
Right.
And my legs I can't even like step up and down on the stage because my legs shaking so crazy. Yeah, that was, those were fun times, guys. We have learned a lot. I had my little belt bag with full of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I let the RMR squad know on one of our little circle posts, but I think every 15 to 20 minutes max. I mean, it was max for me, 20. It was really more like 15, 16 where I was consuming something.
And you were
I'm training this though.
Right.
This is the key. You got to do it in practice. You won't remember if you're not doing it regularly. Like you'll just forget, right? Like you have a strategy and then you're in the race and then you're like, then you forget. Now 30 minutes has gone by and you screwed it up already. So you definitely have to work on it regularly. And this is obviously something I think a lot of elite athletes in HYROX are doing now and posting about it. So it's really no secret. The intra fuel, the carbs, the gels, the bicarb, whatever it is that you like, is super important. And I think, the more scientific data that comes out, especially with cyclists and triathlon who are going on these really long rides and the intensity is still pretty high, like they're consuming up to 140, 160 grams per hour, which is insane.
Wow. So for reference,
crazy.
Like a typical gel, like, I don't know what, like an ESN gel or like the BPN Go gel, I think that's 25 carbs in one.
Yeah.
So they're taking, what is it?
Now they're not just doing gels, obviously, for that reason. So they're doing drinks.
But the amount of carbs, right?
Yes.
And when
they get gels that have more in them. It is easier on the bike because you're sitting. Yeah, you can take exactly. This is a little bit different, but so I was taking like 25.
Right. But still, imagine taking like 5 gels in an hour. Like that's like the equivalent of it. That is wild.
Yeah.
But like, like you said, it is like the training of it, right? We sit here, we talk about training stuff all the time. Talk about do this much threshold, do this much running, but like people, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of these things that, like recovering, you still have to do it, right? And this is one of those pieces that you have to do, and you not only have to do it, but like you have to invest in it. Like imagine having to take. So say for me, I'm trying to push this a little bit too. Like I'm taking 3 gels per like quality session or whatever. And it's like that's 2 to 3 times per week. It's like, 10 gels per week, and like if they're like $3 a shot,
I was just gonna say they're like $3 a piece, so you're
three to
spending like
$5. Yeah.
it's like $12 every quality session. But then I'm doing it on long runs. I even
Mhm.
take them on an easy run, because if an easy run's like today, I had 75 minutes easy, right? So like
I was
probably
taking some
should take
carbs.
something, you know.
I was swimming
So
yesterday. I was swimming for over an hour, and I was like, I'm gonna let's see what little carb intake on my swim. And like,
yeah.
yeah, so it's just it is a lot of mental energy to like think about it. Uh, I get resistant because I just don't want to. I'm just like, I don't feel like I need it. And that's kind of how I approached it in the past. And like, I've not gotten to this point where I'm like confident in knowing like how fueling is going to help my recovery, where I need to take it and how I should be feeling later on when
Hmm.
I'm actually like starting to kind of dip. I would probably be beyond where I was, and I'd be looking for something to like help me. I'm like,
Hmm.
I need to, like, I remember I had this thought in Vegas last year coming off of the rower. I was like, I need something. Like I need something to help me. And at that point, it's probably too late.
My first worlds in Manchester, my legs were cramping on the rower.
Mm,
My legs were cramping on, because the farmers was on the grid, so you get kind of like you have a little bend in your legs. My legs were cramping there. My legs were cramping on the lunges. My calves were cramping on the wall balls. It was not fun, let me tell you. Not fun at all. And this was like, I don't think we were so into the sciencey side. Like we were just like, yeah, let's go, and
right.
and then
Still performing
not
well,
really
still
thinking
doing,
about it. Still
yeah.
performing well. Granted, I think I was just over 60
Yeah, you were
minutes.
58
So
something
like
that year, right? Yeah.
still clearly doing very well. But it's a game changer. And it's like even if the time didn't fall off so much, it's like the feeling, right? Like again, like the cramping, like the amount of sweat this is so intense, number one. So we're using carbs way quicker because the intensity is super high. Number two, we're inside, we're sweating our asses off. So we're losing a ton of sodium, we're losing a ton of magnesium. So all of those things in the intrafuel is also going to help alleviate those cramp feelings that can come later on in the race. And I think the longer you're out there, even the more necessary it can be, because like I'm taking I took 4.5, which was over an hour, right?
Mm,
So like if you're going to be out there for 90 minutes, like you're probably going to get to a point where you really need to consume something.
mhm.
I mean, I think for us also, because we're going so fast and it's so intense. Um, we need that to pull off.
And I think like I haven't looked too deep into like the current science of it. I'm like kind of more paying attention to like the anecdotal stuff, how people are kind of pushing this. Like you mentioned, the try people, the ultra people, they're really kind of pushing this stuff. And like from a traditional sense, from the understanding that I've had of this, it's like if it's under an hour, like you should have enough carbohydrates to have to maintain your output. But yeah, like kind of what you're saying now, like that might not be the case. And in HYROX, because things are so much more intense throughout the sessions, it's not a half marathon effort where it's steady and like there's
Yeah.
probably some like fat mobilization that you are able to use as fuel. Like you are mostly aerobic, so like you can have things like process a little bit slower. But since our intensity is so high and we're putting out like a crazy amount of effort right away, 10 minutes into the race, the carbohydrate usage is like it's not a stretch to be like it's way more. Like we are doing
100%.
way more
Way
in
more.
terms of that. So yeah, just interesting on that front, like how um and like do you think that has helped your recovery, like taking in more stuff during?
Definitely.
Think it makes you feel better the
Definitely.
next
I
day?
think again, like anecdotally, right?
Right.
Like I'm not like
Not
checking my
checking
blood or
it.
anything like that. But
Muscle
anecdotally,
biopsy,
yes.
yeah.
I definitely feel better. I feel like my recovery is definitely improved because I'm not allowing my body to be so depleted and then have to like just get back to baseline every day, right? Like that's like also such an impactor of recovery. It's like when you aren't feeling in intra sessions, especially hard sessions. Like you are depleting so low, and then just to try to get back to baseline before the next day is very difficult. And so I think it's definitely helped me overall. And I would say too, like I've seen a lot of posts about like what people are taking in a race, and guys like baby food and stuff that doesn't have sodium in it. It's honestly probably not even worth it. You need the sodium too. You need the magnesium too. So like it really go with something sports. Like I've seen people taking an applesauce, and I mean this with no disrespect. It's like 15 grams of carbs. It's not even a lot. And there is none of the other stuff in it that you want.
Yeah.
And the fiber, like this is definitely not the move. You know, when we have these other options, right? Like we have the sources. It's not like 80 years ago where they're like, you know, or 40, whatever, you know what I mean? Like we have it. So just go buy that,
Just
you know,
it.
and just
it's like, yeah, like if you're doing it, maybe people are coming from the trail world, ultra world, and like where you can, you're just going
those dudes
slow.
are eating pizza, you know, they're eating like
right, they're eating fats, yeah, and
in
it's
the
like
middle of a race,
right, the Snickers, like you can just do that because you're going so slow. But yeah, pretty much any sports nutrition company at this point, like all that information is available, and like the production of it all is all like pretty close, right? So they're going to be using very similar, and like so like it doesn't even really matter which gel. ESN for sure.
Yeah.
BPN.
Well, you don't want a lot of fructose. That's the biggest thing, because that's what hurts the gut. See, that's the one thing to look out for. Most of them are going they're getting better though.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's the ratio.
They'll have some sort of
it's the ratio. So that's where you want to make sure that like the other stuff is double or higher than the fructose, because that's what gives you the poops. But even like the carb loaders, like I've been seeing some more people in HYROX now also wearing like belts with like a intra fluid. And if that's more your jam, that's also totally fine. I think we're going to keep seeing that. I mean, Amy Bevilacqua, I think like tokened that in HYROX, right? So I think we're going to keep seeing that more too, because some people just feel more comfortable with that. I can't like swallow easily in these races. So for me, the gel's personally my choice, because I'm just swallowing once rather than having to like try to drink something at that intensity is harder for me, but to each their own. And I think it's definitely worth experimenting with in your training, so that on race day, you're super confident about it. And you feel like you've trained your gut, because there can be some, you know, the intensity is also high. And if you've ever run a lot, sometimes the second you hit that intensity, your body's getting ready to get rid of some stuff. So like you definitely need to work on it. But I think it's very helpful.
I agree. And I think that yes, the viscosity of the gel, like, this is all gonna be personal preference, right? Like, like how it goes into your mouth. Sometimes, like for me, like there's no affiliation with this company, like goo, those type of like that type of viscosity. It's just like good. How can you even deal with that?
Water-based for sure.
It's yes, you got to go kind of water-based. There's like these drink gels that are out that are like really great that go. So like if you're taking a goo or gel or whatever you're taking, and you're like, I can't, because I just like that kind of gets like stuck like in your throat, kind of like gag reflexy, or kind of stuck in your mouth. And you're like, oh, I can't take a gel because I did this one thing. Like you gotta like find one, because you
got to find what works for you.
You got to find what works. And in terms of the solution, I think the solution is for me, I would think it was like the best option, because I think it is a little bit easier to take sips, but it's just like the volume needed to take in.
Like the one scoop, the amount of liquid water you need is like, it's too much for in this event, I think.
I could only be taking a little sips at a time. It's not like we're cycling. We could take little sips every 3 to 5 minutes or whatever they're doing. It's like it's better for me to take in one shot, just like, and then just be like, okay, we're good to go, because the intensity is so high that like sipping constantly just doesn't seem practical.
Yep.
What shoes did you wear out there?
I wore the Elites, the Puma Deviate Elites. Love them.
Probably awesome.
Love them for pure. Like I'm racing my HYROXs in them now too, even my solos.
You're gonna do the Elites?
I really like them. Yep. I'm liking them better. I still had a little bit of carpet issues in Stuttgart on the pole with them, which was always my initial hesitation with wearing them in the solo races. I was always wearing them in doubles, but I'm just dealing with it, I guess, because I do really like them for the running. So
they feel so good. They're a great running shoe.
yes.
That was what the two women at the trials. There's two Puma athletes wearing the Deviate Nitro Elite 3s. The woman who
Yep.
won, and I think the woman who got third, Lyndhurst, and I forget what the first woman's name was. But
And
like,
the 4s are coming out in January, and I have trialed them, and they are very nice.
Can I put you on blast and ask if you've tried this, if you've seen the HYROX shoe? Can you?
That is what it is. That is the HYROX shoe.
It's going to be a HYROX shoe.
Unless they've got something they have not shared with me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
They teased something on social. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh, that's what it is. It's just the 4. So
it's a 4, but they geared it more for HYROX.
So they're hedging. They're like, we're not going to make a higher. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
which is great. I mean, like, whatever. If you have that shoe with like the bottom of like this Mizuno that I have, it would be incredible.
Yeah.
It would be so
good. They made the maybe I shouldn't say that. No, they teased it already. I don't know. I don't want to get fired.
Let's leave it. But we're thinking that's going to be a good shoe.
Yeah, we're thinking it's going to be good
for that. Yeah. So then like, do you think that kind of helps the recovery as well? Like when you were doing halves, there weren't super shoes, were there?
Yeah, I was wearing the Hoka carbon plated shoe.
Oh, what'd they call that first one?
I forget what it is called. Yeah, it was one of the first ones. Yes.
Was the
I think so. So I was wearing those and for most of that time. Yeah, I think so. And then I think they came out with like 1 or 2 other versions. And then I was originally in HYROX wearing the Endorphin Pros back in the day. I actually, as they evolved, disliked them more and more for HYROX personally. I think they started out being a good shoe for both, and then I just didn't like them after that.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, I think, with shoes sometimes is like you find a model you really like, then they come out with a new version. Things are always changing, and then it's like, you got to kind of refine your new thing again.
They're not making them for HYROX. Real quick, how's your battery looking?
I should probably.
I'm going to switch the audio over here. Yes. So as Meg gets kind of situated on that end, really that feeling of what a half is going to be like compared to a HYROX is the main thing that is going to kind of separate, right? It's like kind of what you're looking at when it comes to the purpose of it. Like many of us are not going to be able to put in that type of mileage and those type of efforts to sustain a half at the best of our ability and then be able to also do HYROX. There's probably some sort of line where we can, where some people might be able to, but for the most part, will it make you better at HYROX? Potentially, but it's not going to feel the same. It's not going to feel the same. Yep. All right. I asked Meg to kind of switch her battery mode. It's getting a little bit wonky now. Now she's gone. So now I'm flying solo. Now I'm flying solo here. So I think it's like a good challenge if people are like, yeah, I want to do this thing. I want to run this half. I've never done it before. I've gotten into endurance training and okay, she's back. Yo,
we're back.
You're back. All good. Yes. I was like, oh man, I screwed that up.
Some tech issues.
We're back. We're no problem. I was trying to monologue there for a little bit. Just kind of like wrapping up like the half for HYROX training. I guess, yeah, what would be your take for that? If someone was like, Coach MJ, I want to run a half. I want to get my running better for HYROX. And that's kind of like the blanket statement that they say, right?
Mhm.
how would you direct them? What would you kind of like, what kind of guidance would you give them on that?
I actually like the idea of it. I think it's the placement of the two events. It's like,
Mm,
how far apart are these going to be from each other? I think if you are doing a half maybe beforehand, and then 5 6 weeks later you're wanting to do a high rocks, I think that can give you a really incredible base, and then you can still have a little bit of time to re-up the strength side and the specificity of high rocks, but you're going to build so much fitness aerobically from training for a half that it's going to set you up with a good foundation.
mm,
To do them back to back the way that like we are able to, I don't know that that would work well for everybody. I think that's the difference, because we are able to handle so much volume. This is our full-time job. Like, I can train for 3 hours. I trained for 3 hours today. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
this is the job. So I think for a normal person who's training 8 to 10 hours a week, I think it just having them spaced out would be the most appropriate. I do think it can definitely be very beneficial. Um, I don't think a full is, though, at all. I don't think a full marathon is going to help you in a high rocks, other than, like I said, just gaining basic aerobic baseline level fitness. But
right.
I think in that style of training, even on a very general, like general population runner plan, the the amount of that, and even just that long run that you're going to end up building up, building up, building up, building up, I think it's going to be very difficult to then get the strength pieces in, and the specificity you would need for a high rock. So I think it might even like hurt you a little bit in a way, because I think it's so different from the systems. You're not using nearly the same energy systems,
Hmm,
right? Because
hmm.
you can't be at threshold in a marathon for
No,
like at all. So
unless
we
you're like the like
unless you want to be right.
absolute elite and you're running like 150 miles a week,
Exactly.
like, and it's the only thing you're doing. But yeah, like that, if you're there, like you're toast. And
Exactly.
by the time later in the race, if there was a way that you could get there, muscularly, you're just going to be limited, right? So it's not
Exactly.
really gonna. So yeah, so yes, so 5 or 6 weeks out, I think is a great call, right? Like, and having perspective from that, be like, hey, I wanted to prepare for this half, but then give you a little bit of time to turn around and be like, okay, now we're going to push some sleds, we're going to crank up the intensity a little bit. This base of running that you've put in, it should help. And is another caveat here would be in general, if you are an athlete who is like just finding running and like you're just like you want to see what you're capable, you want to experience these different events, and like you're not like HYROX, yeah, it might be your favorite thing, the thing you do the most, but it's not like the only thing that you do, then like sure, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, just like do it. Right. Because this is just like kind of part of your journey, but understand that like they are a little bit different. So if you're not worried about being optimal, or you don't have like major goals that are like, hey, like
Yeah.
singular goals, then like, yeah, do it whenever you want. Right. Like,
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, what is your goal? What is your focus? Like, do you want to be an age group podium contender for world championships in high rocks?
right.
Or do you just like to do a bunch of things that challenge you?
Right.
And just see that you're getting incrementally better because your fitness is getting better and you're training hard and you're working hard. And, I think that's the biggest question you have to ask yourself. Because we've said this before in podcasts, it's very difficult at this point, and with the way the sport is going, to not be very dialed into it if you actually want to do something and you do have those goals for yourself. It's very competitive now, even at the age group level. These are people that are close to sub elite or already are sub elite, or maybe even could be elite at some point. So if those are your goals, like to get to worlds and all of that, then it kind of has to become like the thing.
Hmm.
And you can have micro goals throughout the year, but they have to be strategically placed. And I think that's the biggest thing. So it kind of comes down to like, what are you getting? What are you wanting to get out of it?
Right. Which is probably where we should have kind of started this, just kind of the caveat in there. It's like, hey, like if you just want to do these things, if you're just learning about running, you're like, hey, what would it be like to do 13.1? I want to try. Then you should absolutely just kind of do it. But yeah, the full is a bit of a different animal for this whole thing because the volume is just so much greater. And that the limiters are muscular often that you kind of can't get around it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you think you could do a decent, like, say you cut your miles in half and you're doing 35 miles, 30 to 35 miles right now, but you're still equaling everything else aerobically, just across all the different domains, whatever. How much do you think that would affect your half performance just this past weekend?
A lot.
A lot. Because what you felt was the muscular part by the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the full is even like
even
twice
more.
that.
Yeah.
Literally twice that. So like you can't really skimp on the miles. You can't really do it in like a HYROX way where it's like, I will get ready for HYROX aerobically across all these domains and run like a moderate amount.
Yeah.
Like for a
because I
marathon,
really think the amount of time you would have to invest in doing that, like, because we know that cross training isn't 1-to-1. Right. So like I remember like in college, my coach telling me that if you were to run for an hour, you need to be cross training for like 90 minutes minimum to like even be close. So like imagine cycling if you wanted to use cycling to like help you, or like triathletes and Ironman people, they're cycling 6 hours a day, a lot. Like 4, 5, 6 hours. You know what I mean? That's also why they can run the paces they run, because they're spending so much time aerobically. But like who the hell has that kind of time to do that? You know? So I don't think you could, if that makes sense.
I would very
Like you can
few
run a
people could do it.
marathon off, exactly. Like you can, there are people, and I recently saw a post, I think this woman, she did like, maybe it was like a 250 something, and she only runs maximum 50 miles a week. That's still like a lot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's not like nothing. And they were like only, and I was like, well, that's like a pretty good amount, and people can do them and finish them with less, of course. The question is how well how well, that's the, like, and what's the goal? Like, is the goal to just finish it and just finish, or is the goal to like hit a time? You know what I mean? And volume is, we chase volume often because we know that hours in usually equates to something on the other side. And it usually can be performance. I think when your training hours are already high, it's less, right? Because it's, for me, if I'm training 20 hours, training 23, I'm maybe gaining 15% more time than I already was. Might not be worth it, but someone training 5 hours a week and then jumping to 10, that's double. So that's going to be a significant percentage of potential that they could gain from that. So I think that's kind of like what it boils down to when we talk about these things.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. And I think a lot of times people do have these goals of like, oh, I want to do a half or full. It is from that kind of framework where they're like, it will force me to do more.
Yeah.
And kind of how you mentioned before, the athlete you had who did run the marathon and then came out and performed better because she was just like
It was just more time. Exactly. It's like she had to put in the hours running. Like that was what, we had to do to build that up. So like the fitness came because of the hours that we invested.
So say for that example, the person who's training 8 hours a week, right? And they're doing HYROX stuff for it all, right? They're running, the 30 miles a week or whatever that I think is just kind of like a good spot to be in for this.
Yeah.
And they're like, I want to just swap out. I only have these 8 hours, but I want to train for a half. So I'm going to have to swap what I'm doing to prepare for the half as opposed to prepare for HYROX. Would that make them better or worse for HYROX?
Well, this is where it comes down to like the timeline, I think. Because I think you could still train for, I mean, like look at me. Like I was doing it, but also training for HYROX at the same time. But like for a regular person with 10 hours a week, maybe they have to cut a HYROX kind of style session, or they can't do a strength session. That could hurt their HYROX if they don't have enough time to then get specific after the half. That's what I'm getting at. Because I think you can still cut. I think you can manage to get one of those types of sessions in a week, even training for a half with limited hours of training. But I think if you're cutting it even more, or if it's less than that, or it has to be, then that's where the HYROX is probably not going to go so great, if that makes sense.
Right. Like if you're doing it in the middle, like kind of like in the middle of races, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to hedge and do like a little bit of both, you're probably not going to see a significant bump in your performance for HYROX. But even if you get better at running some. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you'll probably come out of it and be like, wow, my running felt great. But like, God, that sled pull, right? Or something, because
Right.
we just didn't get the reps in of those movements. That's it. It's all, I think every sport is a little bit, we overcomplicate so much, but really it's the reps. It's just getting the reps in, right? It's like who gets the reps in consistently the most, when it matters, when it doesn't matter. Like that's really kind of what it boils down to, is like, did you get those movements in to train the movement pattern, to train the body to handle it? Did you know your pacing on it? Like those things matter for optimal performance in a HYROX. So like if you weren't able to, then it might be difficult to see the benefit.
Yeah.
But your running will probably be great.
Right. But it might feel better. But like the HYROX might feel worse when you're over anaerobic threshold 12 minutes in and you have been training at sub threshold for 10 weeks.
Yes.
You might not be that interested in that experience. Might not be
great.
But it might not be great. But maybe. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Meg, thanks so much for joining today. And congrats on that awesome time. That was sick. That's really, really cool.
Just needed 2 seconds. I was so mad when I saw the official, because I saw the clock and I was like, I think I got it. And then, the timing chip's always a little bit, a couple seconds slow. So I was like, God.
What was your official time? I don't think we even mentioned it.
1:18:01. 0.01. You see why I'm mad now, guys? You see?
Even in like a half, if you're just like
I couldn't have been 1 second faster on 2 Ks of 21 Ks. Really?
Because you might tell somebody, right? It's like, hey, what'd you run? It's like, oh, yeah, you're probably not going to be like,
I'm not going to say the 0.01.
Yeah, you'd be like, like 118. But if you were like
118,
you're almost a 117.
Exactly.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's all good. We'll get it next time.
We got Ryan Kent out there, had a good performance over in Chicago. Pumped for him. He's on the comeback train. He's racing today as we're recording on Friday, the 21st in Dallas. A lot of people going to be racing down there. Bummed to miss it, but it's just how it is. That's just how it is. Next time, I'm gonna have a baby in like a couple.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be able to hold a baby in like.
He's gonna be like
4 to 5 days.
Daddy Rich.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 5 days.
5 days.
There's still some time.
Auntie Meg.
I'm good.
I'm gonna come in and that's my new name on the pod, Auntie Meg.
Auntie Meg, Auntie MJ. I need a poster. For the nursery.
Yeah, just like, hey, this is who. It's a girl, so.
Gotta be strong. Gotta be lifted.
This is who you want. This is your aunt.
This is your future. Cool. So things will be. I don't know exactly what that means for me on the podcast. We haven't really talked about it internally, but I'm probably going to be away for a couple of weeks. So we need to figure out what that means in terms of podcast cadence.
Bring her on.
See what she has to say. It's like, welcome to this world. HYROX. You'll know of HYROX from the day you are born.
You've listened to a lot of this in the womb.
She's heard me talk about just threshold and zone 2.
She's like, God damn, if I hear threshold again from this guy.
You know much about the sled push from out there. All right, cool.
God,
so
I love it.
Appreciate you all listening, hanging out with us. Give Kent, make sure to follow him on in Dallas to give Kent some love. And that's really it. So that's us signing off.
Let's go.
Later.